So I'm almost scared, to be honest. We're now recording, and I've got Marie and Yvonne. They're sharing a bottle of wine, it looks like, on a sofa. Whose house are you at? You at Yvonne's house?
We're at my house,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cheers.
Yes. And you two are quite the pair. When you get in the same room, you're dangerous, aren't you?
Just a
Well,
little bit.
we try to be.
You start doing makeup videos and reels. You get into all kinds of shenanigans. You're the sort of friends that everybody wants to have because you're going to get out there on the disco floor. You're going to wear crazy clothes. You're going to have a few cocktails and it's happy hour all day. But let me take a minute first. Let's start with you, Marie. I've spoken to you before and we've met at Pause Live and so on. Now, I know all about you, but just take a moment to tell people who you are and what you've done.
Okay, well, in the last year of my 50s, I decided to write a diary. I've no idea why. I found it hilarious. So I sent it off to a publisher thinking it was hilarious. And they sent it back and rejected it and said, yes, it's hilarious, but you don't have a platform. You're not famous. Nobody will be interested. So red rag to a bull. I got myself onto Facebook, wrote a blog, and then I now have a platform. That's me in a nutshell, really. That's how it all
That's a great
started.
nutshell. I like that.
Midlife
Perfect.
Dramas in pyjamas.
Oh, midlife dramas in pajamas.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you
that's
are.
me.
Now, Yvonne, what about you? You're a big author. You've written lots of books.
Yeah. But only sort of after I started blogging on Facebook. I mean, I just sort of woke up one morning and all my friends had been, because of what I was posting on my personal Facebook, all my friends had been going, "You should blog this. This stuff's really funny." And so I just woke up one morning and suddenly woke up with the courage to do it. And
And
just
you two are really funny. You are funny. So, I mean, that's kind of humble, really, because you do have massive platforms. Between the two of you, you've got over 100,000 followers from my recent calculations. And Yvonne, you've got a number of books under your belt, haven't you? Which I think you only really started during COVID. Classic COVID authors.
yeah, the it was the people who follow my blog who encouraged me actually. And as I say, it took me quite a lot of courage to even start the blog. And I just didn't have the confidence really I didn't think I was good enough to write a book. But the people on the blog, that follow the blog, kept saying, "You should write a book. These are really funny. Write a book." So I just sat down and during COVID and did it. And then since then, I turned my hand to murder mysteries. And there's a whole series called Losers Club. And people absolutely love them. And I love that they love them because I love them. Those characters, they're like my family. They're brilliant.
Validating to have sort of a raft of fans who can't wait for the next one in the series to come. That's really
Yeah.
amazing what you've done. Okay, not being rude, but how old are you both, ladies? You're midlifers.
Right. Well, I'm hanging on to midlife by my fingernails because
Oh,
Aren't we all?
I'm 59 in a couple of weeks.
And I'm a mere stripling at 55.
Oh, you wee thing.
She's a Ben.
I mean, let's face it. I remember somebody told me you're as young as the man you feel, whatever
Yes,
that means.
well,
That's not good.
my husband is nearly 3 years younger than me, so result.
I know
There
I'm
you go.
stuck.
I think,
Mine's
you know,
just 3
mental
years
age. Oh, don't do that then. But mental age and physical age, and for me, you know, weight age, apparently, is entirely different to actual age. So, I mean, where would you say what phase of life do you think you're in? Are you loving midlife? And as you say, you're clinging onto it with your fingernails. Why not? Because I think midlife is pretty darn fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly become more confident the older I've got, and since I've been in midlife, and also writing my page, and all those sorts of things that I've done. It does give you the confidence, and I think you start to care less about what other people think. So on my page, I bang on a lot about wearing what you want. I've come today in my black leather jacket, and I've had ladies say, "I've bought a leather jacket now because of you," or "I've bought a denim jacket because of you," because I just think, wear what you want, do what you want, grab opportunities, because there are opportunities at our age, aren't there?
Yeah, and I think as well, don't be scared to go out and create your own
No,
opportunities.
God,
That's
no.
what
Well,
we've done too.
you and me, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think if anything, midlife is just helped me give less of a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is
basically.
really good.
Embrace your effort filter, because right now, who really cares?
Well, you just kind of, everything gets a bit more perspective, and you just start to think, you know what? Nobody's died. Whatever goes on in life, you can kind of take most of it in your stride because you just get a better sense of perspective. And I think it's because you've lived through so much that you know, things that would have completely phased you in your 20s, given you anxiety, in your 50s, you've done it.
Yeah, it's nothing, isn't it? It's like, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I also think it's a bit of it's now or never. I think you
Yeah.
become more aware of your own mortality the older you get.
That's a good
So
point.
we've got so many plans of things that we want to do. And I'm like
Yeah.
60 next year, and we're just like, let's just crack on with it because it really is now or never. Because if we
Yeah.
don't do it, you
Well,
know, it's not gonna
60,
get done.
60, 10 years, 20 years ago, 60 really was like sort of slippers and bingo, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
now we can really look forward to probably another 40 years. That's midlife really does mean halfway to 100 these days. So it is incredibly liberating to get to your 50s and start writing books, start going on stage, start having these incredible platforms. Let's go back to the platforms that you've got, because they are very inspiring, and you have the most incredible, loyal community who like you take away my breath sometimes. I'll turn on in the morning and I'll scroll through and I'll see what you're both doing, and 2,500 likes over pulling out a chin hair. Like, how do you even do it?
Do you know what? It's just we when we write, we were talking about this earlier. I do Growing Old Disgracefully. Marie does Midlife Dramas and Pyjamas, and we do have kind of slightly different topics and things that we cover. But when we sit down and write, if we make ourselves laugh, then we've made someone else laugh. And I think that's the key to. We were talking about that earlier, weren't we? When I was just talking about the tripe and onions lady,
Yes.
who farted during an intimate examination, and I said, "Do you know what? You're not the first.
You won't be the last.
You definitely won't be the last. But kudos for going the full mile on the tripe and onion." With stuff like that, it's just gold, isn't it?
It is. I mean, how can you not use that? You've got to share that with your fans, haven't you?
It's brilliant. You know, the people who follow us are sometimes funnier, far funnier than we can
Yeah,
be.
the comments
The
can be
comments are
really funny.
brilliant, really, really
I think
good.
we find the funny in everyday things that everybody goes through, everybody suffers with, you know, everybody sneezes, and well, not everybody, but women our age can sneeze and wet themselves, or snort muesli up their nose, or, you know, and all these daft little things. It happens to everybody. And we were both saying earlier that so many times on our pages we'll write a post and people will say, "Oh my God, I thought that only happened to me."
Yes.
No, it doesn't only happen to you. It happens to all of us. It's just that we find the funny in it and we write about it.
I mean, I did one yesterday about trying to think of a way to put this politely that you can actually broadcast.
No, you say what you like, Yvonne.
All right. Well, I wrote a post about having a fanny like a pair of bellows in the swimming pool, right?
Yeah, except for that.
It sucks up water.
But it's true, it does.
I don't,
Sucks it up.
I always thought I was like doing a little wee after I'd been in the pool, and I was a bit disconcerted. Like, why am I? Because I don't even realise I'm doing it. Am I incontinent?
No, it just drips out.
But no, yeah. Well, we were out with a mutual friend, and she'd done a swimming challenge, and she was talking about. I was like, oh, I'm so glad. So anyway, I did this post about having a fanny like a pair of bellows, and all these women coming on going, "Me too. I'm so glad it's not just
Yeah, me too, me too.
Do you know?
That's what you've done, isn't it? You've created this community where like nothing's off the table. You can talk about anything that you want to. And all of a sudden, everybody who's part of it is like, oh, what a relief. I am not the weird one. I'm not the outsider. I'm just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And talking of that bonding, you two have found each other through Facebook, haven't you? You've now created this incredible friendship. You haven't known each other for that long, have you?
No, about a year actually.
A year and a half, maybe, you know.
But because the way it happened, we both followed each other, And Yvonne started to write about going to various places around here. And I started to think she must live near me because she's talking about places near me. So I messaged her, didn't I? And I said, do you live round here? And she said, well, yeah, this is where I live. And I was like, oh my God, I live like 5 minutes away. This is incredible.
Yeah.
So we met up for a coffee. 3 hours later, we were still there.
I know, it was good.
Yeah, they wanted to charge us rent on the table, and that's what
But
you said.
it was such a relief, wasn't it, to just talk to somebody who does the same thing as
Yeah.
you and who
Yeah.
knows what you're talking about without you having to explain.
Right,
It
having
was
to
really
spell it
good.
out
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
both
And
do
I
it,
think
and
I
we
was
both
lucky
understood
enough
it.
to get WhatsApp FaceTimed by, there was 3 of you. Who did you go out with
Yeah.
for cocktails?
Yeah, with
And
them.
yeah, it kind of failed miserably because I think by that time you were 3 sheets to the wind, but it was really funny. You are hysterical. You just bring mayhem and madness to wherever you go. But I'd like to ask about friendship. Do you think as we age, those female friendships become more and more important? Also, looking back, the newer friendships as we take into a new phase of our lives, we're so aligned with new people who have gone through the same thing that those historical friendships, they're lovely. That's memories, that's childhood, that's school. But the ones that you make, I think, in your face and you can carry through into retirement, older age, do you think those are so amazing?
I think so.
Value them even more
Yeah.
because it's as you get older, it gets a little bit harder to make new friends. Especially like when your kids were at school, you'd do the school run, you'd meet all the school
Yeah.
mums, and you'd pick up
Yeah.
friends in the playground, as it were. And before that, obviously through school, college, and that, and through work. But then when you get into your 50s, a lot of your friendships are just sort of, they're set, they're there. And making new friends comes as a magical surprise almost.
I agree. A
It's
magical surprise. What a great way of
lovely.
describing it.
I've always agreed with the saying that people come into your life for a reason, and we've definitely found each other
Yeah.
obviously later in life, but we've got this fantastic bond. It's as if we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
We're quite often thinking the same thing, when we're
Yeah.
talking about all the things that we want to do in the future. We'll go, oh my God, I so agree with that. So we're so aligned, and we completely understand what we're going through and all the plans and the direction we want to go in. And it's just a
Yeah.
magical, what did you say?
Magical surprise.
Yeah, it's
It
lovely.
is.
Yeah, I love that.
I think, sometimes you make friends either, when you're at school because you're in the same class or whatever, or as your kids go through school, you make friends with the parents of the kids that your kids are friends with because it's easier that way because they're all going for play dates and so on. But when you're making friends in your sort of late 40s and 50s, you're making friends purely out of choice, purely out of, I like her, she's like me, I get her. And it's not convenience friendships. It's not like served up on a plate. You've got to work hard to find those good ones. And then, they're really worth holding on to. Do your husbands get on too?
Yeah, we get on fine. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
really
we've been out
handy,
for
isn't it?
meals together as two couples.
That's
We're
really
going out
nice.
on Valentine's Day as two couples.
Oh, well, that's
Well,
novel.
it's just coincidence that it's Valentine's Day, but we're going to see a
Yeah.
play together.
Yeah, we're going to the theatre.
Yeah.
We're not going somewhere dodgy.
Okay, it's not like car keys in the centre. It's not old pampas grass. It's none of that stuff.
No, definitely not.
I've got friends who are a similar age to me, and they've said, I don't want to make any more new friends now. I've got enough. That's it. I'm closed off to finding new friends. Which is fine. We all make those choices, but I'm open to making connections and opportunities, and we just found ourselves.
Yeah.
Not found ourselves.
Well,
That
we
sounds
just-
a bit.
we
We
just
found each
clicked.
other.
Yeah, we clicked like the minute, when you just know, you
Mm.
just know that someone's like your sort of
As you
spirit
said, you had a
animal.
cup of coffee that lasted 3 hours. When you can
Yeah.
just talk and talk and talk and you don't run out of subject matter and you're not just talking about your children or the school or moaning about, things that would ordinarily have in common through school things. I think it's a revelation. It's a really lovely thing. Yeah.
Well, we often now we'll go into town on a Saturday and we'll start at 9:30 in the morning for coffee, and then we'll do a bit of shopping, and then we'll go into the
An hour
cocktail.
of shop.
a Canara shopping while we're still sober, and then we'll go and have cocktails and lunch.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll spend hours doing that. And there was one time we did it. We had coffee, we chatted, we shopped, we had lunch, we chatted. We did a couple of lives actually, which was a
Yeah,
bit
we
dodgy
did.
because we were tipsy walking down the
Are
street.
these your legendary changing room lives, which are kind of scary?
Yeah.
Oh, we had the one at Marks and Spencer's at Christmas. That wasn't a live, but it was a video, and that was so much fun. I was trying on this flapper style, really glitzy.
That's all that was.
And I was just messing about in the changing room doing Charleston. Every time they couldn't see anyone around the changing room in Marks and Spencer's, I was like, Charleston. And
I'm going to
I'm
video
gonna
that.
So you two do egg each other on, don't you?
We're just making each other laugh.
Yeah.
We're naughty.
Yeah.
We are.
Well, that's fun. That really comes across. What do you think your communities? What are the topics that really? So it's sort of getting a bit more serious, I suppose, in a way. But as midlife women, what do you find midlife women really find the hardest? What are the topics that come up that they're so grateful to have a tribe, if you like, to share? There must be regular things that always come up.
For me, it's lacking confidence and feeling invisible. That's what a lot of my ladies, I call them my ladies, my followers, that's what often comes out, is that they feel invisible and they lack confidence. So they see me doing all these things, and that helps give them the confidence. And I'll often say, you see me doing this, so you think I'm full of confidence. Actually, I'm not. I'm not in certain areas of my life, but in this area of my life, I am. So, like, with the clothing, don't be invisible. Don't wear beige. Don't, unless you want to, obviously, but don't feel you've got to shrink into the background. Wear the bright colours.
Wear the
lovely
colours.
styles.
Yeah.
Wear colours. Wear great styles. Be out there. So that for me comes out a lot on my page.
And I mean, Marie was just such an inspiration for me as a middle-aged woman when I lost loads of weight. And I really, really struggled with this new body shape to find like a style that suited me. I mean, I just looked like a sack of potatoes with what I was wearing, and you took me in hand and made me come shopping. And
I went,
got me
no,
sorted
put
out.
that down.
What you're saying, shrinking into the background, that, but the you give people so much confidence because when like what you wear is so important, and it's you're kind of putting your brand out there almost every day by your choice of what to wear.
You're setting your mood as well. You can completely change the way that you come out of the house or that you walk into a room.
Absolutely.
And it's not shallow to worry about what you wear.
No.
For me,
it's not shallow to want to look nice, because if you look nice, you feel nice. What you wear and how you present yourself to the world definitely has an impact on how you feel about yourself.
For me, like just being taken in hand by somebody and told to try this on, that made such a difference, and it really did imbue me with so much confidence to try out this new body shape. And then I went ahead and tried out other things, my found things that worked for me. But if you hadn't actually just taken me in hand and got me started, I'd have really struggled, I think. But yeah, but
It's somebody seeing you and bringing out the best of you, isn't it? They're seeing you as the new you and how best you can present yourself. And you do look amazing. You look really fabulous. How did you lose the weight?
Just really careful. I just kept a food diary and I exercise ridiculous amounts. I was at the gym twice yesterday.
Tell her how many miles. What was the swim challenge you did?
Oh, I did a raise money for Macmillan, and I think it was raised nearly £2,000, which was amazing. Like people that follow my page donated, and I was just so grateful to them. And I found the whole thing hugely difficult to do, but I was so determined to do it because I didn't want to let anyone down. And it was 21 miles, which doesn't sound a lot, but
It does.
I swim like
That's not really a marathon.
it takes me just over an hour to swim a mile, and so that I did it over 3 weeks, and so that's like 7 hours or more in the week. It's probably nearer 10
of swimming
for me every week, and that was a lot of swimming.
That's
It's
you.
sheer
yeah,
determination. When she,
yeah.
when she wants to do something, boy, does she do it.
I am very determined.
You're very determined, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it helps having that accountability to your followers, that you're trying to, set a good example and to follow through? I know for me, like when I've lost weight and I did that on the Jane plan, I was worried to death that people would see me like, oh, I thought you were trying to lose weight. And, it's that sort of public facing accountability that really sort of kept me in line, I suppose. And with the swimming there, once you've told people you're doing a challenge, you kind of have to follow through, don't you? Otherwise, you look
Yeah,
a bit of
yeah.
a plonker.
And I saw another one recently for diabetes, and I thought, oh, I really want to go for that, but I don't dare ask anyone for any more money. But I just found it was really did keep me in line doing the 21 miles because I had to do it. I had to do it.
Yeah.
With the weight thing in general, I never set out really to lose weight. I just set out to not die at 63 like my mum. My mum had a stroke at 59, a big stroke, and she was never right again, and she died at 63. And my family, my mum had type 2 diabetes. She wasn't overweight. She was a tiny little thing, and she wasn't overweight. But type 2 diabetes really runs strong in all the women in my family. Weight or age, it doesn't seem to matter. There's just this really strong genetic thing. And I just knew I was gonna I'd been diagnosed as pre-diabetic, which I'm not anymore. Woohoo!
Well
And,
done. Amazing.
and I thought, oh, do you know what? I'm gonna leave my kids without a mother far
Yeah.
too
And you
early
want
if I carry on.
grandchildren. They call it, this period of, sort of late 50s into 60s, sniper's alley, don't they? Because this is the age, sadly, that when, we find that people around our age are getting cancer, dying of a heart attack suddenly, being widowed. And I think it is quite a wake up call, isn't it? We've got through menopause. Well done, us. Pat us on the back. But now we're left with the legacy of that, which is, well, we've got this life to live and we have to look after the body that we're in because so much can still go wrong. Maybe we're managing our hormones through medicine and so on. But if we really want to love the life and have a really enriched 10, 20, 30, even 40 years, like you, Yvonne, it's like managing where you are and handling that sort of pre-diabetes and getting off that list. Yeah, well done. That's really amazing. Now, the two of you together, it's like 1 + 1 makes 3. It would seem to me a natural evolution that you do something together. So have you got something planned?
Tons.
Tons.
Absolutely tons.
Yes.
First we got a podcast.
Yes, as you
with
know, because you very kindly
some
sent us
yeah.
an awful lot of information, which is another thing
I
I
was
bang
up all
on.
night, Marie.
Something else I bang on about on my page is women supporting women.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, you and I had met at Pause Live and we chatted and texted and what have you. And when I asked you for any hints and tips, boy, did you go the full mile and send us a load. And we were so
Brilliant, yeah.
grateful. And we were like, yes, thank you.
Yes.
So we're doing that.
And we've been very, very busy taking all your top tips on branding and all those things.
Yes. So we've got all of that.
Yeah, we've got.
Have you got a name for the podcast yet?
Yes, it's going to be called Hear Me Roar.
And are you going to have guests? Is it just going to be the two of you chatting or what's it going to be?
No, we've already got our first season of 8 guests lined up.
And we
But
know
hello, I didn't get a phone call.
No,
Yeah,
you
you are.
Did I? Am I on it?
Yeah, you're on the list.
That's funny. Book me quick. Book me quick. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hear me roar. So what are you going to be investigating on that?
No, well, we're talking about, what we've got is midlife stories from inspiring
stories from midlife and beyond. But it's not going to just be women because obviously, I don't know where I'm going with that. It's going to be men as well
We want
because
some men.
men struggle with,
I think they get really overlooked, don't they? And, I've talked to people about the male menopause. Men do go through hormonal change. They do go through a really rough time when, their hair thins, their belly is getting bigger, they're being pushed out of work and pushed towards retirement. It's a really tough time for them. And I think, we've spent a lot of time supporting women through menopause that I do think it's time that we gave some airspace to men as well.
Well,
Yeah,
we
we
just
do.
we want to hear that perspective as well. And
Yeah.
also loads of men are really, really supportive of their partners and wives and things when they're going through menopause hell. So we want to hear from those men too, because they bring us perspective and we've got something to learn from them. Everyone has something to
Yeah,
learn.
let's celebrate the good ones and encourage that behaviour in others to make it a norm that you do support your wife through,
Yeah.
childbirth and teenage years and then hormones
Beyond.
in later life. Yeah, good. Yeah, let's
We
teach
also
them.
want to do we want to do a day.
Yeah.
Once we've got the podcast going, we're going to have a day up here in the northeast.
Yeah.
Similar to Pause Live, but up here.
Newcastle area.
All about empowering women and that is going to be focusing on midlife and beyond women, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't want to just focus on menopause for that.
No,
we were talking
women
about some of the
women
things.
in general. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I know we messed about with the makeup and did that.
Yeah, your makeup tutorials. I think we need a series of those.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm doing her next time.
If you're
You
ever
are.
feeling a little bit down, I can thoroughly recommend taking a paint roller to your friend's face.
Yes. I can see
She
that.
enjoyed that far too. You enjoyed that far too much.
I did, but
And I bet that
that's one of the
stuck to you
things-
for days.
But that's one of the things we talked about was like how like I still do my makeup like I did when I was 20.
Me too.
And really, I don't think either of us have a clue. And there's probably loads of products out there and makeup stuff tips that
for older skin.
would probably work better for us now. I'm sitting here going like that because I'm
Hairstyles, things like that. Some of us just stay in that rut that has been easy or maybe practical.
I got out the rut.
You'd have to
I
see
know,
a
nice pixie haircut. Lovely.
Yeah, a few months ago it was down here.
Yeah, last year.
Down here, wasn't it?
Was it about August or something? July, August
Yeah.
time. I think I just got it all cut off.
Yeah.
And went like this into this kind of very short pixie cut. And I just had it done today. Not for you, Michelle. I'm sorry. I know you're disappointed, but
Don't worry, I'll put a filter on. Well, you look amazing, but did it make you feel like, wow, I feel so fresh, I feel so different, I can step into this new person?
yeah, well, the whole thing, the kind of like the fitness thing, because I think of it as health and fitness, not losing weight, because the goal was never lose weight. The goal was get healthier. That was always the goal. And with that, and just being able to walk up big hills without dying. Like my idea of a great time now is a 6-mile walk. And I'm like, uphill, yes, let's go. My husband laughed at me one day because I went to the hospital to get my blood test done. And I came home and I said, I had too much energy in my thighs. I had to run across the carpet. He said to me,
Nutter.
he said, what? I said, do you not get too much energy in your thighs? And he went, no, I'm not 40.
Description. I see what you mean. I do.
Full of energy and bounce and that. And then like getting my hair cut, Marie helping me with the clothes. And it just kind of, the whole thing, like by the end of last year, I'd had huge health problems aside from all of that, but I still felt really positive. I still felt really positive about myself. It was really annoying having the health problems because you put so much effort in. You don't want to kind of discover that you've got things wrong with your insides that you didn't know were wrong.
But mentally, you were in the right headspace to deal with it as well because you'd worked so hard. So you couldn't have done more to put yourself in the right place.
I just found it very annoying.
Yeah.
It was just disappointing because you put that effort in. But last year, and by the end of last year, looking back on where I'd been at the beginning of the year, which was I was a size 22 to 24. I'm now a size 14. And
That's
looking
extraordinary.
back on that year, I don't know, I just felt like I felt like a different person, even though I'm the same person on the inside. I kept having to take selfies of me in the mirror because I had so much body dysmorphia that I still saw myself as big.
Really?
I was going to say fat because I can own the fact that I was fat. I didn't mind being fat. I loved myself as I was. I'm in no way feeling like that I was awful or anything. I made the decision to change for health reasons, not because I hated myself. And I want to be absolutely clear about that. I had great self-esteem, whatever size I was. But I was left with a lot of body dysmorphia, and I kept having to take selfies of myself in the mirror wearing outfits, just simply so that I knew what I looked like.
So you could kind of have that detachment between what you see and what is real. Because when you look at a photo, you can see that that's a slimmer body, a beautiful body. Well, you must have been really inspiring because you've obviously, because you're on screen so much, taking photos and reels and sharing, all of your followers will have come along that journey with you, and they must have been really supportive.
I mean, they've been absolutely fantastic, and I've been really careful because I don't want to be an inspiration to anyone in that respect, because the decision I made, I don't want anyone to look for a magic bullet about losing weight. There isn't a magic bullet. There are tools that can help you, whether you're on the Ozempic or, all those weight loss drugs, or whether you have an operation or whatever you do, there are tools to help you. But there is still a heck of a lot of hard work and effort, right? All of those things to help you. But I didn't want anyone to kind of look at me and go, oh, she's done it. There must be a magic bullet somewhere, because there isn't. You've got
It's
to,
hard work and
yeah,
dedication, isn't
you've
it?
got to eat right. It's not, you,
And
you've got to
exercise.
fewer calories
much
and
exercise.
Yeah, but the exercise doesn't so much help you lose the weight
No,
as
you
it
have to do them
tones you.
both, don't
Yeah,
you? You have to
yeah,
tone up and
Absolutely.
exercise.
And then, when you've met that goal, if you go back to your old ways, everything's going to come piling back and you're not going to feel great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Marie,
It's a
you've had
lifestyle
quite a journey as well, I'd say, over the last year, because, I feel like I've known you a bit over that last year, and you've had some setbacks. You've thought you were going somewhere, you thought you were going to publish a book, and then you've had a few setbacks, but you've ploughed on, and I think that has been very inspirational to the people that, follow you on Facebook as well. What would you say is your biggest achievement over the last year?
Well, this is going to sound really schmaltzy, but meeting Yvonne.
Oh, bless
Because, as I said at the start, I wanted to publish a book. I
Yeah.
wrote my diary. I thought it was hilarious. My husband thought it was hilarious. So that gave me the confidence to think, oh, wow, if a man finds it funny, got it rejected, put it on the back burner, didn't do anything about it. Ended up last year, wrote an article for Good Housekeeping.
Yeah, that was really good.
Which was a
brilliant.
huge thing. And the editor there said, I can't believe they didn't publish your book. I think what she said to me was, you were ahead of the curve, but now everybody else has piled onto it. So I still wanted to do this book. And if I hadn't met Yvonne, I would not have done this book, because I haven't a clue about the technology side, and because it's published through Amazon. And Yvonne and her hubby just led me by the hand over several weekends, dear God in heaven, and several bottles of Prosecco. It was like pushing against a tide of custard.
We got
But
there, though.
We got there, and my book is now published. But if I hadn't met Yvonne, who constantly encouraged me to do it, and is doing the same again with my second one, so that will be coming out soon. And I was like, oh, nobody's interested. Oh, and all those self-doubts were coming
Yeah,
in. And
yeah.
he was like, no, get it done, publish it, and we will hold your hand again.
No, you're doing it.
I am
And
doing
I'm
it.
so
Yeah.
proud of you for doing it, because it takes guts to put yourself out there. You know that, Michelle.
Yeah.
You're
It
doing
really
it.
does. Yeah, because you can feel like such a failure and so judged. You know, you are judged. If you put yourself into the public forum, I know that the two of you sometimes get horrible people on your platforms who
Yeah.
say nasty things. You know, those keyboard warriors that think they're anonymous and they can, instead of saying something nice or saying nothing, they'll say something really nasty just to put you down. But I do love the way that you deal with those people, and of outrage comes from your followers when that sort of happens. It's like, no, this is a safe place.
Yeah, well, we've always said, haven't we? We've built communities on our pages where people feel valued and safe, and they feel we're all in it together. We're a community. There's camaraderie and there's support.
Yeah.
So I constantly say I will not tolerate negativity, nastiness towards me, or nastiness towards any of my followers.
Absolutely.
I don't argue with it. There are some page owners who love to get into a spat. That's not for me. I don't want that atmosphere on my page. So I won't reply. I'll just block them and go, bye.
That's what I'm
Adios.
the same. I rarely reply. When I do reply, often I kind of just go, "Are you okay?" And they're like, "What?"
It's like a parent saying, I'm not angry, I'm disappointed.
No, because I think, like, to come on and just be nasty about a complete stranger, it's not normal behavior, is it? And I'm like, you know what? I hope you've got some good people around you and that you're okay, because the way that you're behaving
Is not
is
okay.
not normal.
It's not
And
acceptable.
yeah, and I hope you're getting the help that you need. And they either get outraged or they just shut up. But I do think that people like that, if to come on and behave like that to a stranger who's sitting there posting, usually just posting something from a joyful place, or posting something that they've worked hard to write and just to make other people laugh, to entertain other people, and then to come on and just be nasty.
It's not necessary, and we're not having it.
Not having it.
It doesn't speak to a healthy mind, does it?
No, it does not.
No, it does not. They're rather sad. All right, so if each of you had one piece of advice that you would like to impart to midlife women that you have learned and taken you along your way in this decade, what would it be? Marie, what would your advice be to any midlife woman?
Right, I would say don't let your age limit you or define you. There's something you want to do it. I was 50 when I started my Facebook page. I had no idea about technology or social. I wasn't even on Facebook at that point. So all of this for me has happened since I hit 50. So go for it. Don't let anything hold you back. Go for it. And
Never
grab
too late.
any opportunity that comes your way, within reason, obviously. Grab it and go with it.
Yeah, I resisted buying 50 Shades of Grey at the library today. They've got a second-hand book sale at the library, and I thought, oh, 50 Shades of Grey,
Have you not read 50 Shades of Grey?
No, I haven't.
I've read all three and seen the films, can I just say?
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah. I prefer, what's that one that's about sheds? 50 Shades of Grey. That's really fun. That's a parody. That's more up my alley.
L. James, Erica, her real name is, she is absolutely lovely and so down to earth. And if you ever met her, I don't know, you might have met her, but if you ever met her, you would be so surprised
that she wrote 50
Shades. She wrote 50 Shades of Grey. And I just mean that she's like really, really down to earth, lovely middle-aged woman, really nice woman.
That is nice to know.
What was your tip?
Yvonne, what would be your piece of advice for midlife women?
No, but I always say the same as you.
Yeah. This is why we're so aligned.
Twin flames.
It's so important. And when you're kind of like grabbing these opportunities that Marie's talking about, I always say build your cheerleading squad.
Yeah.
Build the people around you and believe, listen to them. The people who are saying you can, they're right. If
Mhm.
enough people are telling you something, listen. It's your job to listen. And so build your cheerleading squad, build the people who believe in you, and listen to them and take confidence from them. Because
Yeah.
if I hadn't listened to people who said you can start a blog, if I hadn't listened to people who said you can write a book, then
Have done it, would you?
I'd still be working a day job, doing what I was doing, heading into pension land, and never experiencing any of the things that I've
Any of these
experienced.
adventures that we now
Yeah,
find
no, it's
ourselves on.
fantastic. Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant.
Well, I am sure there are so many more adventures that the two of you are going on. Just mention the names of your books and the names of your Facebook pages so that people can, I'll put them in the show notes as well. But so your book, Marie, is now available on Amazon and it is called?
Originally the same name as my page, which is Midlife Dramas in Pyjamas. And even more originally, the second one is called More Midlife Dramas in Pyjamas.
Tales from the Front Line of Middle Age, right?
Middle age. Yes.
And Yvonne, you've got the Big Blue Jobby books. And do you say it? Because I realised when I read this title, Frock in Hell, but actually if you say it quickly, Frock in Hell.
Yes, that was it.
Okay. And also, of course, the Losers Club.
Yeah, they're the murder mysteries, and they're the ones that it's like putting on a pair of old slippers every time I write one. There are 8 of those, and there's going to be a 9th soon. So it's going to
Wonderful.
be, I haven't told anyone this yet, really, but it's going to be called Cruisers Club, and it's going to be set on a cruise ship.
Well, have you heard, and have you included, I heard about this the other day, that if people are on cruises and they want to, like, you know, kind of like Tinder for cruises, they put a pineapple. That's true, isn't it? On the door. On the cabin door. Yeah, like a sticker. It's a pineapple sticker. And it says they're open for, open for dating.
There's like a fan group for the books on Facebook, separate group. And I went on there and I asked everyone for their cruise ship stories because I reckon a lot of them must have been on cruises. And they obliged. They were absolutely brilliant. But it was them that told me about the
Yeah.
pineapple.
It's the equivalent of having pampas grass at the front of your house.
I was just thinking that. Was it in the 70s? I was just thinking there was a certain plant that if you had it in your front garden, it meant you were into swinging. And
Yeah,
it was
swingers club.
wasn't it?
Right.
Well, what a note to finish on. Well, how am I not surprised?
You're welcome.
Well, thank you both. Thank you. I knew it'd be fun to talk to you, and I wish I was in the same room so I could clink a glass and have a glass of wine with you because you are so fun. There you go, clink. Well, keep doing what you're doing because you do bring such joy and laughter to everybody that follows you, all 100,000 odd. I'm very, very envious. I have to say, Marie, I do love the fights that you have with, what do you call it, F-Buck?
F-book, I call it F-book. Do you know why? Purely because if I write Facebook,
You
they
really will get banned.
Yes, so I call it F-book.
Well, you carry on, having your arguments with F-Buck and also just bringing all your funny, crazy... I want to see more reels, that's for sure. I want to see more makeup reels. I want to see you on the town, going for cocktails, changing rooms.
We've got a live that we're going to do. We're going to do it live. We're going to do a live cocktail making session.
Yeah, that's on there. That's on there.
That sounds good. And of course, your podcast, Hear Me Roar. When do you think you'll be launching that?
To start recording end of this month.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So as soon as we've recorded a few episodes, we'll start uploading.
Yeah.
So
That's
hopefully
right.
sometime in March, maybe April at the latest, you will start to see Hear Me Roar.
Hopefully.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marie Thom and Yvonne Vincent. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been so fun to chat to you. And I want to see you in person. I've seen Marie in person. I'd love to see you, Yvonne. We'll have to get drinks sometime. I don't know, what's halfway between Newcastle and London? Don't know where that would be.
York's not halfway between. I thought my geography was bad.
Yeah, obviously I'm a southerner, so I don't go past Milton Keynes. That's about as far as I'm allowed to go.
I make everyone go to York.
York's beautiful, but it's quite a long way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not equidistant between us and London. York.
All right. Sheffield.
Leeds.
Leeds is
Leeds.
good. Yeah.
Leeds. Do
Sheffield.
they speak English there? How would I as a southerner get on there?
Yeah,
That's
Yorkshire
enough.
woman.
Yeah,
Do you know,
I'm
I'm
a,
even
I'm a
worse than
Yorkshire
that.
woman.
I went out with some women the other day and they're from North London and they're my first North London friends.
Really? Dear me. Right. Well, you need to come out of London and
I
we'll
would.
educate
I'd
you on
love
the
to.
north.
I'd love to. Anyway, thank you so much. You've been so fun.
Thank you.
Right. Just gonna